G'day everybody, welcome to the team reveals, official team reveals for NBA Supercoach. All three of us are going to give you our finalised, I don't know whether I can say finalised team. I don't know how you guys feel, but I've still got an itchy trigger finger. Horse, how are you feeling about your team?
Yeah, so my team has changed drastically in the past 6 hours, but I probably feel as confident with it as what I have all season. So I'll go to bed tonight and hopefully the kids don't wake me up, and then hopefully I forget about it in the morning and then it's too late to change it.
Well, I mean, rolling lockout means you're only going to lock out 4 teams, so there's guaranteed we're going to be fucking around a little bit throughout the week. Matty, how are you feeling about your team?
Yeah, pretty good. Not too many changes. I'd love to find a way to get Jorman in over Reed Shepherd, but I just can't find the money at this stage unless I drastically change it. And kind of like the structure, so I'm like pretty wary. Like obviously exactly the same as what Mick was saying. You squeeze one guy in and then you change 2 other guys, and then you're like, oh, I really like this guy, and then suddenly you've got like 10 people changed in a heartbeat. And I've been resisting, I suppose, the trigger finger. I'm pretty strong on that, as you know from playing Supercoach with me in the past. So.
Yeah, I'm not. I think there's a couple of things I could do, and when we talk about teams, we'll explain obviously our thoughts behind our picks, and if there is anything that changes, of course, throughout the week, you'll hear about it. We'll put posts up and basically announce the changes as we go throughout that week one. But yeah, first 2 games tomorrow, so looking forward to actually finally getting some NBA happening. We may as well, so we'll answer all the questions at the end. I think there's 12 or 13 questions that have been loaded up, so we'll cover all of those at the end. We'll go through and we'll reveal our teams first. So we may as well chuck them up on the screen. You'll be able to see that up there, our full team as well. I'll kick things off and then we'll move through. So basically, point guard for me, I've got Luka Doncic. I just feel like, and like I said on the live last night, I feel like Luka is just he's a must to me. Just with LeBron out, I just feel like he's a guy that can match Jokic. He's a guy that can go large. To a point where I think, regardless of matchup, he's always a good shout as a captaincy option. You need those guys in your team. It can't just be relying on Giannis to do the job every week. So Luka is my backup there, and Luka, and the Lakers don't have a bad start to the season schedule-wise. I think it goes 3-4, 3-4-2. So I'll have a look in week 5 as to whether I want to keep him, because I'll have 2 game weeks in the next month from there. So Luka's in for me. It's interesting because I think we've all got different guards from memory based on all of our teams. We've all got different primo guards. So interested to hear what you guys think. Peyton Pritchard's one that I've been tossing up, whether I want or not. I could downgrade to Wells, which would free up a lot more cash. I'm just not quite sure what I'd do with that cash because I like everybody else in my team. So I'm probably just going to hold tight on Pritchard, knowing that Boston have a nice schedule to start the season. They go 3-4-4 to start the season. So there aren't any teams that play more games than Boston in the first 3 rounds. Peyton Pritchard getting the opportunity there at $10.29 million. It's a little bit more than what I'd like to spend for a guy like him, but I'm still happy enough. And then last one's Reed Shepherd, $4 million. I'm not overly concerned about the fact that he doesn't start. I think, if anything, and Kizza mentioned this in the WhatsApp, if anything, maybe it's a better spot for him to be at, off the bench. That firecracker, number 1 ball handler off the bench rather than being the 4th or 5th option on the court when he's with the starters. So I feel like Reed Shepherd's a great shout, and Jorman, or Demin, or Yemen, or however you pronounce his name, probably the next best in line for me if I was to use the money I've got in the bank. I've got $1.35 million sitting in the bank. So I could make that upgrade if I really wanted to, but I think I'm going to stick strong with Reed Shepherd. I'm trying not to do too many changes because I do like my team the way it is. Horse, thoughts, questions, comments on the point guards?
I've got a bit of FOMO on Pritchard. I can't fit him in at the moment. I want him, but it's Boston, that schedule is really, really nice. And I had a bit of time today, so I did a bit of a schedule deep dive, and you'll see my team shortly. But Pritchard's probably the one that if I had $1 million extra, I'd be going up from another point guard into him.
Yeah. Are you a Shepherd guy, or are you fading Shepherd?
I like Shepherd. but Shepherd will still be the same price in week 2. So given
Correct.
that we can max trade, I do have a bit of a thought process there that I can potentially make more money out of other players while he's still the same amount of money in week 1. So like Small from Memphis, for example, I've got him sitting on my bench at the moment and he's 3.5k, so I'm saving 500 there, and he's got a break even of 17. So even if he goes, say, 35 for the week, then I've more than made up my cash that I need to then, if I want to go sideways into Shepherd, or whether there's other moves that I want to make. So that's, purely a schedule move for me.
Yeah, and I get it. Initially I wasn't overly worried about the 2-game weeks on the bench, but you're right. Like, if you want to make fast cash, then these guys aren't going to make money for 2 weeks.
No.
The one thing I'm concerned, or not concerned, but just wary of, is the fact that I still think Shepherd, Edgecombe, Bailey are like 3 of the top 4 bench options to start the year. I don't want to go away from good options long term, because these guys they might be slow burns. They might, it might take them, anywhere between 8 to 12 weeks to kind of top out on their cash with where they're at right now. I don't want to lean away from a guy like, a guy like Shepherd for a quicker play that might make me more short-term money, because I want to use my trades on field. I want to maximise the amount of games I've got on field. And if I'm using trades on my bench players that aren't even playing for me, I just feel like I'm wasting trades early on guys like that. So I'm just going to back in the guys I like, regardless of that 2-game week and regardless of whether it takes me a bit longer to get their cash. But that's probably where my head's at. Matty, any additional comments before we move on to shooting guard?
Not really. I love the addition of Pritchard. Again, like, played a lot of games. That's great to start off with. Should make some money. That's where I'd be spending my trades, because I don't know. I just think it's pretty hard to, in case you have to hold them long term, because you're attacking the schedule a bit later on. And if I remember in that 4th week, Boston aren't fantastic. Having Derek White and Pritchard, I sort of think one of them will go off at certain times. I don't know. I'm a bit wary of Pritchard, but only because I am so high on Derek White, which I'm sure you are as well, and that's what you're going to lead into. So,
yeah, good segue. He's we talked about him being a must-have. I reckon he's at the top of the list when it comes to guys you need this year. I think I can maybe speak for all of us and say that we all have him.
Yes.
And there's a reason for that. It's just because he's so underpriced and he's going to be the main guy. I think everybody's keen on Jaylen Brown, but he's questionable to start week 1. So it makes it an even easier decision. Imagine if there's no Jaylen Brown for a couple of games in week 1. Derek White could go absolutely ballistic, and of course Peyton Pritchard too. So yeah, easy decision for me. He's one guy that I have not even toyed with moving out of my team this whole time. So Kevin Porter Jr. is just a facilitator. I think he's a guy that I'd be more than happy to play on field or on court. KPJ should honestly exceed that price and that break even and make money in his sleep where he starts. Just being a starter. We talked about Yemen at Brooklyn being a starter, but he's a rookie. KPJ's been in the league for a while. Good scorer. Yeah, he chucks some shots. But he only needs to score like what's 7.87 million priced at? Probably like 9 points per game, 10 points per game. So he'll do that. He could do that in a quarter, in actual points, not Supercoach points. So KPJ is an easy one for me. And VJ Edgecombe, expensive for the rookies, but I honestly think that he, behind Cooper Flagg, is the best, by far and away the best option, him and Ace Bailey. When it comes to ceiling, these guys, honestly, on a 3-game week, I'd be happy to play VJ Edgecombe, pending, obviously, Paul George still being out. So that's probably where my head's at with shooting guard. A pretty easy decision. I actually haven't played around with shooting guard at all. These guys have been there nearly most of the preseason since the app opened. Any thoughts before we move on? Anyone? No.
I've got all 3, and yeah, I do think that KPJ and a lot of people listen to our earlier podcasts, and I'm seeing a lot of D'Angelo Russells and Lonzo Balls still in teams. KPJ is, like you said, Braino, just that facilitator and a step above all these other guys because there is just no question marks around it. I had a look at some stats, and it was Dame Lillard being top 3 in pick and rolls with Giannis and just pick and rolls in the league. And it's going to have to be KPJ, I think. A lot of the time, and just by being in a pick and roll with Giannis, like we saw in the preseason, he got 8 assists in 20 minutes, and 11 points, and always gets rebounds because he is that sort of bigger guard. I think like just by being on the court with Giannis, and we're gonna have a lot more of a discussion about Giannis later on, I'm sure, and how big of a season he's gonna have. But KPJ is probably gonna have the ball to give to Giannis, and at the very least going to get a couple of easy ones to Giannis just by being that pick and roll facilitator. That's enough. In just plays that he picks and rolls with Giannis, he probably outscores this 7.87 million. You're right.
He's the only guy on the court that really can be in that position. Gary Trent Jr., not a ball handler. Kyle Kuzma, not an NBA player. And then Miles Turner.
He's not a basketballer either.
No, not a basketballer. And Miles Turner, will not handle the ball at all. Like KPG is literally the only guy that can do that. So Ryan Rollins might even find his time on court too at different times. But yeah, it's KPJ. Easy. I'll leave Giannis for one of you guys to talk about. Again, not a guy that's moved out of my team. Ryan Kalkbrenner, Horse, I know you've toyed around with him. I don't know whether you have him or not, but he just more so as a bottom dollar 3.5 mil guy that will be likely in the rotation in Charlotte. I'm pretty confident in saying that he'll get at least 15 minutes a night.
Yes.
Obviously, coaches come out and said all three of them. It's Moussa Diabate, it's Kalkbrenner, and it's Mason Plumlee.
Mason Plumlee.
Yeah. Like that, they all are going to have to be open to open to being patient and roles changing and flexible to their role. So they're all going to be minute sharing, I would naturally assume. But when you've got a guy like Kalkbrenner, who genuinely I think he will win the starting role,
yes,
by Christmas, and that's being maybe conservative. I think he'll probably have it within 10 weeks of the season. But for me, I'm thinking Kalkbrenner long term, slow burn. He'll make really slow cash, just like Jalen Williams will. And when he tops out, I'll move him on. I'm not in a rush to worry about him making quick cash, but he'll be there.
No.
Asar Thompson is a bit of a my guy for me. I'm super high on just him in general. I've got stocks on him in redraft, in category leagues. I want stocks on him here. I just feel like there's a breakout incoming. Jaden Ivey being out is great for Asar Thompson as well. Just more of a pathway to usage. They've mentioned as well that the ball is going to be in his hands a little bit more this season as well. So I love that. Asar Thompson, it's more of a my guy pick, but I think he's in for a big one. Great with stocks and doesn't hurt you with missed shots too much. It's more so the free throw, but he doesn't get to the line too often. So I don't think he hurts you that much. He can fill the stat sheet elsewhere in getting rebounds, steals, blocks, and not miss shots. So yeah, like him this year. Cooper Flag, that's obvious. Ace Bailey, I'm sure one of you has him as well, so I'll leave him to you guys, but very easy picks for me. Chet Holmgren's a bit of a late addition. I might leave the majority of that to you, Horse, because I know that you've got him as well. So I'll leave that to you. But Chet's a 1 week play for me, and then it'll be Chet down to Bazelis. You'll notice Bazelis isn't in my team, because I wanted to have a cash free up to have the option to get Jokic next week. So it'll be Chet down to Bazelis. I'll have 8.3 million in the bank. And then I'll be able to make the decision on which way I want to go. Do I want another aggressive downgrade so that I can upgrade to Jokic elsewhere? I'll have some decisions to make, but I'll definitely have the money. So that's the plan there. 1 week play. I just felt like Chet had a bigger ceiling than Jimmy Butler. That's probably the only reason I've got him this week as a 1 week play, is because I feel like Chet can go like 35-40 if he has a big game with a few blocks and 10-12 boards and some points. I'm just not sure Jimmy Butler has that kind of top upside 40-plus point game type stuff. So,
okay.
Ricochet, we've been pretty keen on as well. I love him. Obviously, that it's just a minutes and opportunity thing for him. Like, again, same as KPJ, he's going to be a starter. He'll be the starting small forward. He's going to get opportunity. You've got Trey, the best facilitator in the league, the leading assists player from last year. He's going to be getting some good opportunities on the perimeter. His shooting looks to be better. And, it looks like if he can take a few less bad shots like he did last year, at the back end of the year, on the home stretch, he looked really good. So pre-season, he's looking even better. Jalen Williams is just the price is wrong, so that's an easy bank. And then Victor Wembanyama is also a pretty easy call. So that's my team. I've left a few guys for you, but in the comments if you have any questions on that, I'll happily answer them. So, Horse, you wanna go over your team next, mate?
Sure. This is as a result of a massive deep dive and lots of conversation with Kizza, who I know is in the chat. Thank you, Kizza. But SGA. So my point guards were KPJ and Luca for a long time. But upon doing a bit of a schedule deep dive and what have you, I come to realize that in the first 3 weeks, there's no team that has more games than the Oklahoma City Thunder. So you look at that and you look at the man that leads the way and you look at Jalen Williams or J-Dub being out and knowing that SGA's usage goes up to 39% when J-Dub's not in the side. So the ball is going to live in SGA's hands. That's my reason for him. He's 22 mil. He's fucking expensive, but I thoroughly expect him to play up to that sort of level. Happy to answer any questions in the chat as well. Nemhard, for those that have been watching our videos, YouTube's listening to us on audio, would know that this guy is my guy. I'm still not 100% on him, though. This could turn into KPJ and Small up to Reed Shepherd. That's potentially my only other move, I reckon. The rest of the team I'm fairly set on. So bit of a disclaimer there for those at home. And Biggie Smalls there, Matrix, your man from the Memphis Grizzlies, who probably isn't much of a basketballer, but he's the only one that's healthy. So at 3.5 mil, he showed a bit in the preseason. Even if he does half of that, I feel like at 3.5 mil and a break even of 17, he could make a bit of money and pretty quickly, mate. Have you seen much of him play?
Yeah, I didn't love it. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not a huge fan with what I've seen so far. But you're right. There are a lot of injuries, and they might have to call on him. Yeah, look, I'm not super high on him at all, to be completely honest. But only because I still believe that Jar will be right to play. I think it'll be like Jar, Wells, KP, Contavious Caldwell-Pope. Sorry, we've been talking too much
KCP.
about KPJ.
Yep.
Yeah, KCP, yeah. And I just think that Small probably will play exactly that, a very small role, and then drop completely. I just don't want to... I'm trying not to bank trades because I always know that, injuries happen and people like... you've got Jimmy Butler, who I'm really high on. If he goes and scores 40 in the first couple games, and like Braino said, it might not happen, I don't want to bank that trade on going Small to Reed Shepherd if Small plays 4 minutes a night. But yeah, look, he'll definitely get a run in the first week or so, and I think that we'll know pretty early whether he's going to do it. And I presume that this 3.5, you've got a few more primos than me. I'm presuming that sort of 3.5 facilitates everything else, so it's not so much about Javon Small, it's about what you're doing with the money.
That's right. Yes. So we'll move on there, unless you've got something you want to add there, Braino.
No, I was more looking at the depth chart. Are you worried about Cam Spencer getting a run over Javon Small?
I think he plays, but Cam Spencer's not going to play point guard. I'm just looking at the depth chart. It looks like he's a backup point guard. But in saying that, Javon Small got the run in preseason over Cam Spencer, so you're probably safe. I'm just Javon Small's on a 2-way contract, and Cam Spencer's like a signed rookie in his second year of his rookie deal. So I don't know. It's I think it's fine, and obviously what you've been able to do with the rest of your squad justifies the bit of a price dip or quality in player dip. So yeah. But then again, if I do go down from Nemhard down to KPJ, then Small just becomes Reed Shepherd and the world's a line again. But we'll see how we go between now and 10:30 tomorrow morning. Derek White, shooting guard, don't really need to go into him. All three of us have the same high opinion of him and what he's going to do at Boston this year, and they have an excellent schedule to start the year. Jalen Wells, Memphis Grizzlies man, one of Matrix's men. I think he gets a fair run. 6.69 million. just a bit more expensive than a rookie price, but he showed last year that when a couple of the main men were out, like Morant, like Triple J, he was actually able to score the ball and do bits and pieces that he wouldn't usually do. When all the guns were in, he was more of a catch and shoot, on ball defender, would play a lot of minutes, but not a lot of counting stats. But now he's almost going to have to, facilitate alongside Jar, do a little bit more on defense, get involved a lot more on offense. So 6.69 mil, I'm pretty happy to have him in my squad there. And how do you say this guy's name, Matrix? You Googled it today and filled us in that we'd been saying it wrong.
Jorman, and it's DEE really quickly. One of the reporters asked him, it's like DEE really quickly and then into like Yorman, but of course it's like a thick European accent, which I always thought it was like Jorman or like Yorman, like the way that he said it really quickly, but it's actually DEE and then like into a Yorman, so it's Jorman.
Do you like the brand Dior?
Okay. Yeah, so, like that, like European.
Okay, so people know that I mess up surnames on the offense, so I'm going to call him Demon. It's 4.65 mil, 6'9" point guard. He's going to start. There's going to be teething issues for him. They're not going to be very good, but a starting point guard, young, he's going to play. He's going to make money. Happy days. He's on my bench. He's not going to hurt me too much. Do you guys want to say anything about my shooting guard lineup before I go through the centers?
No, I like Wells. He's the temptation for me. If I wanted to free up cash, I could free up cash by getting Wells in. But I just don't know what I'm going to do with the extra money. So that's probably the only reason I don't have him right now.
And I do think the points bump that you will get from going a Wells over like one of these $4 million guys, even like Reed Shepherd, who I notice isn't in your team, Jorman, any of these other guys, I do think that you'll see that back in spades when it comes to points. And not only will you get the points, I think like Wells played a lot last year. They were high on him. That's why they dropped, or why they let Desmond Bain go, because they were giving opportunity elsewhere. I think that Wells will go up in the same amount of cash as some of these rookies, but also get you more points, much like a Ricochet, which is why, you're okay to have them in the starting lineup.
Yeah, we'll go through my centers. I'm not going to talk too much there. Braino and I both got Wembanyama, Kalkbrenner, so we won't touch too much on that. I do have Jimmy Butler. Am I expecting him to get to 17 mil? No. But am I expecting consistent playing, consistent scoring out of him with Golden State having the best schedule in basketball? Yeah, I do. Steph Curry, Jimmy Butler, Draymond Green, they're the old heads there. Throw in Al Horford there. They're going to be consistent. Yeah, maybe he gets to 15 mil, maybe he doesn't. But yeah, this is a scheduled play where I know I'm going to get some decent scoring out of him. Cooper Flagg is the number one pick. We've seen what he's done in the preseason. We've all got him. I'll touch on him quickly. He can score. He can play defense. They've tried him out at point forward. He can facilitate. He can grab boards. He can do bits and pieces of everything. And it almost looks as though he's the number two option on that offense outside of Anthony Davis. So when you've got a number two option in the starting five who's going to live with the ball in his hands, that's 5 mil. It's just a no-brainer. And Jalen Tyson is the play for cash. You bought him up, and another friend of ours, Jade Herrick, on X, bought him up with a couple of injuries there to the Cleveland starting five. He may get the start, and if he does, this is a cash play. Just try and generate as much cash out of him as I can until it's time to toss him and move him on. Thoughts?
My Jalen Tyson call, you can see from my team, I've already backed down on it. Only because the news on Darius Garland being close, this has scared me off. Like, I just feel like he doesn't have now the... Initially, I thought he had like 4 to 6 weeks of decent cash gen. That'd be enough for me. But the fact that he could only have like 2 weeks of decent cash gen before he goes back to being a bench plotter and does nothing. Then you're stuck with like a $6.1 million guy that you've got to move on to another cheapie. It just feels, I don't know, it doesn't feel like the timeline suits him enough now for Garland. I know that they didn't say he was going to be back, but there's word that he could be pushing for opening night. I don't think he plays opening night, but if he's that close, surely he's only a week or two away max.
Okay. I wasn't aware of the exact time frame, so that may be changed. We'll have to wait.
How much cash you got in the bank?
1.7.
Oh, sweet. Okay. Yeah, you can move back to Ace Bailey if you needed to. That's easy.
Oh, 100%. The 1.7 in a way was to help facilitate Jokic in week 2, but we can always work on that. Anything, Matrix, before I move through to power forwards?
Yeah, I'll probably touch on Jimmy Butler in my team reveal because I have him in my team, but I also disagree with you there. So,
awesome. You are entitled to your wrong opinion. Let's move on to power forwards. Giannis Antetokounmpo. Yeah, that's right. I got it right. Chet Holmgren and Jay Williams. So Giannis, we've all got him. He's a stud when it comes to this scoring format. Just have him in your side. Don't overthink it. Don't try and outthink the room. Chet Holmgren's an interesting one, and this was part of a conversation that us lads have had during the day today, and with Kizza, who's tuning in. Hey, mate. J-Dub, he's out. So there's going to be a bump amongst SGA and Chet, especially, I believe. And at 14 mil, they've got a good schedule as well. They've got a 3-game week into a 4-game week. Beautiful cash play here. And this could help me go into a Jokic with whoever it is that owned up, whether it's Jimmy Butler and Holmgren into Jokic and a rookie or what have you. That will probably be the play to start with. Williams, he's just underpriced. So we're getting a $3.5 million player who should be near 8 mil, really. So that's just a no-brainer. And Neemias Queta, I have got him because it was a toss-up between him and Jackson, and I don't really like Jackson's start to the year. So this is purely a schedule play. So with Jackson, I'll just bring up his schedule. And he's got... Supercoach isn't loading for me. Have you guys got the... Oh, hang on. He's got OKC there. Is that right? Yes, OKC, Memphis, Minnesota. That's right.
We're looking at Indiana, right? Yeah, sorry.
Yep.
You're probably
computer's bugging out.
correct.
Yeah. Yep. So when you're looking at Isaiah Jackson, not overly confident with the Hartenstein and Chet Holmgren inside, with him on the boards. Memphis, he might be okay because you've got like a Jock Landale and then not much else. But then Minnesota with Gobert inside as well, who's got a good 4 or 5 inches on him as well, versus Queta, who, again, they've got such a good schedule to start with. Boston have one of the best. 6 mil, starting center, scores around the rim, doesn't take any threes, put back dunks, rebounds, can get you some stocks as well. So this is a cash play for me as well.
Yeah, rate it. So Queta comes up against Philly. So Embiid, game 1, you never know how that's going to play. Mm-hmm. The Knicks again up against Mitch Robinson again. Yeah, I think, and Jalen Duren. Like they're all kind of inside bigs besides Embiid. So he probably
is not being really
okay.
Yeah.
And minutes, I think, for Queta are going to be a little bit better than Jackson. Just to start the year anyway. I think Jackson honestly will be a guy that maybe we'll end up wanting at some point throughout the year, and it might be maybe halfway through when he's had a slow start and things have been slow and people write him off, and then he starts to come good and the minute share becomes a little bit more one-sided his way. I think Jackson still has plenty of value, just probably not to start the season.
Yeah. Matrix?
Oh, I'm high on Jackson, but I've created my team so that I don't need to play him, so it's not affected by the schedule. I can just, enjoy the cash rises there. Here's my team now. I don't have to stress about how many games Jackson plays at the start, because I'm playing the guy off the bench. So really nice. I do like him more than Queta, especially the way that Queta kind of plays that sort of stretches the floor a little bit, which I really like for basketball. I just don't really like it for Supercoach. And I think I've said all year that, like, I like my big guys. And, like, you guys obviously agree too. I think, here, let me have a look at Braino's team real quick. What's that? All three of us captaining Giannis week one is probably, us having a look at the scoring system and stretching, the rules to facilitate. Do I think Giannis is going to be MVP this year? Look, probably not, but I just want big guys with good matchups, especially when it comes to captaincy early. So, yeah, look, that's starting at the bottom or with the bigs is Giannis captaincy, and our captaincy article is on Patreon, and you guys all have access to that, so that'll be going every week. But yeah, look, Jackson is probably a primo bench player. I think that he's the most expensive player any of us have on the bench at the moment, and I just expect with this opportunity and how much for point per minute beast he's been, regardless of who he's playing, I expect him to make a fair bit of cash. Like, I have a look at other 11 mil centers, and I just think that he's comparable, especially now with Miles Turner moving on, and 5 mil is a lot of money. So yeah, look, I just expect Isaiah Jackson to be there. Do I ever expect to play him? Probably not. But I think that he can make more money than a lot of these rookies, Jalen Williams included, who I've got on the bench with my power forwards. But yeah, I mean, Ketter's fine. I think if you did have to play Jackson and the schedule was a bit better, that'd be fine. But if you're scared of the schedule, I think Jackson can still probably score well. Like, how many minutes do we expect Embiid to play to start the year? He's probably going to be playing against like Boner and stuff a little bit at the end. Hey, mate.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. The only thing is, it's kind of like if you're never planning on playing him, it is a cash play, but freeing up that 3 mil for your starting team, is that a little bit more valuable to you, using that money at the start of the season for your first team when your trades are locked?
It could be, but I also don't see, like, I frankly don't really see the pathway for blokes like your Jalen Tyson and your Javon Smalls, which I would love to be able to get one of those $3.5 million players and have them on the bench. Even Kalkbringer. I'm just super worried that Kalkbringer won't make much more than 2 mil if he's playing 10 minutes a night at the start of the year, which I genuinely think is a real possibility when I see Kalkbringer, Brenner in your teams, and it might be a little bit of a different idea because I'd love to go Jorman instead of Shepherd because I think that there's a better pathway with just starting and everything there, but I just can't because I think that I can get 5 mil out of Jackson and maybe go down to Kalkbrenner when he starts to play some decent minutes. So, yeah, I know it's a little bit of a different idea, but I do think it's just as much of a cash play, even if I'm not getting points on the board. I'd love if he had a handy duel or something like that. But, yeah, maybe I can manipulate the power forward spot if Jackson starts to go really well and go and get a cheapie from there. Like, I've got that flexibility in at center. I can move Wemby up. I can move Giannis down to flex, move him up to power forward if I'm looking to trade a power forward back if Isaiah Jackson is a guy that I want to play. Like, I do have enough duels there if necessary. So,
yeah, fair enough. I did have him on my bench at one point or another, but yeah, the Kalkbrenner temptation is a bit too much because I can get my team exactly where I want it with that cash. So, and there's nobody between 3.5 and 6 mil that I like at centre either. It's just an awkward spot. In power forward bench, like, I could do what you've done and put J-Dub or Jalen Williams from Team U. I could put him at power forward and, or move him to centre and try and find another cheap power forward, but there just aren't any that I really like around that price point. So, yeah, it's an awkward spot.
Yeah, it is. It is. But anyway, taking the plunge on Jackson, I think the opportunity is going to be on there. I saw a fair bit of Huff, but I've never really seen him to be a guy that played more than 20 minutes a night, and that was evident in what we saw in the preseason, which is why we've all flipped on Huff. I'd love to have a $5 million guy. I reckon I could use that $1.8 million extremely well. But yeah, he's just not there. Victor Wembanyama, again, has some great matchups in the first little bit. So yeah, a little bit of a no-brainer. Had Anthony Davis at certain stages throughout the preseason, but playing the big point guard in Cooper Flagg instead of D'Lo, I like D'Lo as a point guard for Anthony Davis a lot more. We've seen 126 games of that, and it was a bump for both of them. When I had D'Lo, I had Anthony Davis, but I've since cooled. If I could afford him, I'd be fine to have Anthony Davis. I think that he'll score to his value, and they have quite a good draw. But yeah, just too many question marks for me. I'd hate to lose some cash on a $21 million player early on in the season, which handcuffs me later on. So
yeah, I don't think any of us can disagree on Wemby. It's he's got all these 3-game weeks, and people are worried about, he doesn't have many 4-game weeks. Honestly, he can score like a 4-game week guy every single week if he's on a 3.
100%. Yep. That point Wemby, that could be so dangerous.
Jimmy Butler's one for me, and Horse, I think you're on the right track. Like, I do agree with you that we can get him, but you were saying I don't really expect him to be a 15 mil guy. When playing for the Golden State Warriors, he was nearly a $16 million player. Has a fantastic draw, which you've targeted with your Golden State Warriors and your OKC players, but did get an uptick in not only minutes, but in scoring when he went to the Golden State Warriors. And he's priced through 25 games playing for Miami and 30 games for Golden State Warriors. So just that natural growth in him doing exactly the same thing that he did for the Warriors last year. And you say he got a year older, that's great. So did everybody on this really old team. I think Jimmy Butler can go up in cash early on in the season, just due to being priced at 25 games at Miami, which, to be honest, let's think about that tumultuous end.
Yeah.
He was on strike at certain stages throughout the year. So, I do think that Jimmy Butler is a really good mid-priced player that we can get with a great schedule to start the season. And do I expect to own him come round 5? No. But, we've all talked about a lot of trades, and look, right now I'm going to try and ride the wave, and if, I'm going to get Bezelis. I think everybody in Supercoach wants to get Bezelis week 2, but if Jimmy Butler underperforms in the first week, then I'm going to go down to Bezelis. If, when it comes to small forwards, if Zachary Ricochet, if I'm just wrong about him, I can go across to Bezelis. If Jalen Wells, if it is Javon Smalls, if it is Cam Spencer, if Ja Morant's just doing everything and Wells standing in the corner, I can go to a Matas Bezelis. So I just really don't want to pigeonhole myself into going a trade in week 2, which we'll talk about on our podcast. We've got plenty planned, but I do think I'll get Bezelis. But whoever is the worst performing player out of these 3 guys will go to Bezelis. But any thoughts on? I've sort of covered my forwards there, mate.
My question for you is, let's say hypothetically Ricochet does what we expect of him. Wells is solid. We know Flagg's going to be great. He's going to be a hold until he tops out. Your only option there to free up cash if you do need to get Jokic, I don't know what your plans are. That's a question that we've got later. It is to do Jimmy Butler down to Bezelis. Like, you kind of get pigeonholed into doing that because none of the other guys make you enough money to go up to Jokic. So, like, you've either got to downgrade one of your other 15, 14, 13 mil guys to a 5 mil guy or a 6 mil guy to have the money to go Wemby up to Jokic. Have you thought much about how you do that?
Yeah, I have. There are plenty of $15 million players in this team, to be completely honest, and I'm not sold on getting Jokic in round 2. I know he plays that 3-game week, but I do think he's probably overpriced for the team that is there. I think that he will score the most amount of points, but I think it's more a $25, $26 million player. So maybe I can get a little bit of puff out, get him in that round 3, and maybe it is a Jimmy Butler, maybe it is a Steph Curry, maybe it is a Donovan Mitchell, and I've just giving myself the flexibility to go down. Like, as much as we talk about Bezelis, and I do want him, and I think, one of these guys will turn into Bezelis. That's the long and short of it. But Donovan Mitchell might just not be the guy that we think he is at $14.48 million. But D'Angelo Russell is playing 32 minutes off the bench. Lonzo Ball ends up starting and playing beside Donovan Mitchell and exceeding his price by 7 or 8 points, and I can go down there. I'm just keeping those options open, and I think they are there with these, I'm going to say mid-price guys, these not quite primos that I've got. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm going to go. I'm just keeping it flexible, which is something that I've always done in fantasy basketball and Supercoach. I don't like to bank trades, because if you plan your trades ahead, Reed Shepherd might come out and be the absolute god, but Jorman might still be injured. Like, we don't really know. He didn't play in the preseason. So yeah, I'm just keeping my options open, I suppose.
Yeah. That's fair enough.
Donovan Mitchell is the guy that I think is the point guard, which is probably why I went quiet through the other young point guard that Horse mentioned earlier. I think Dono Mitchell does start there. I think that we get 18 minutes from Lonzo Ball and not too much from Tyson, but at the very least, even playing at the shooting guard, I think that he's going to facilitate a lot. I think that he's going to be the focal point in the offense. As much as I love a Mobley, and I definitely love him for 9 categories, I do think a lot of the scoring, a lot of the facilitating will come from Mitchell. And if Garland's only a couple weeks back, that's the point that I kind of want to jump off Dono Mitchell. But to start the year, I will be on Mitchell, because that's where I see the opportunity in a great team. And yeah, Donovan Mitchell, I think, is going to have a really big year. So there's not too much at 14, 15 mil that I like, without going down to a 10 mil guy. And I think, like, when I see teams with Pritchards and that, me spending up to a Donovan Mitchell will get me those extra points to start the year and hopefully accelerate forward. So yeah, Donovan Mitchell has been a bit of a mainstay in my team to start. If anyone has any comments on Dono.
He's got boom potential. Like, he could go 50, 60 Supercoach points in a game with the way his game is.
It's where I'm taking the risk, I suppose. And I had a look at your guys' team with Chet Holmgren. Honestly, plug and play the fact that I've gone Donovan Mitchell over Chet Holmgren. I think we all have the same idea. Sorry, guys, of picking a 1 or 2 risky guys and just seeing what's going to happen. So yeah, Donovan Mitchell is probably my risky guy.
It's a good risk to take. I'm fine with it. I like it. And then you got Steph.
Yeah, Steph.
Yeah.
This is a bit of a cost saver over, maybe Costco Luka at his age. Looking at the schedule, and you look at your OKCs and your Golden State Warriors, which we've all done. I see that between the Golden State Warriors and OKC, we've probably got the same amount of players. Steph's just that little bit cheaper. We've seen how good he's been over the years. Always up for an early game, and just somebody that could genuinely just go off the first couple weeks. And then, when the games aren't on national television, he will sometimes just score 18 points and 20 points a night and not play as many minutes if Golden State Warriors are scoring well. But I feel like to start the year, Steph is always a really good get. If I had the money, I would prefer Luka, but I don't, and it facilitates, me getting Jimmy Butler, getting Donovan Mitchell, getting somebody like, Wembanyama and Giannis, and even getting Isaiah Jackson over a Kalkbrenner. And I think I'm giving up too much if I don't go a $15 million player. I said I was going cheap at point guard, move Kevin Porter Jr. up or whatever, but I haven't really gone a primo like you guys in Luka and in Shea. And I'm really just hoping with an extra game on Luka in the first couple of weeks that Steph Curry can make up that ground. I know it's a risk, but it's something that I'm genuinely willing to take, hence being in my team.
Nice.
Yeah, Luka, obviously, I feel much better about. But it's at the same time, when you get that game back, like Steph can easily match Luka with the extra game. I don't think he can match him without it, but with the extra game, he can. So you're using that extra $4 million there to get Jackson, pretty much, and then to have Donovan Mitchell instead of. I'm just trying to work out where the difference is. Oh, and you've got Wells as well. On field, whereas I don't. So a couple of differences there, but yeah, that's the main difference there is the Luka to Steph. You have a bit more depth than I do.
Yep. And I'm pretty confident Wells will at least play 30 minutes a night out on the court. Whether it comes to stats, I think, much like you, Braino, and watching basically every Atlanta game, I heard you talk about Shea and how good of a passer that Trae Young is, just that we expect that 30 minutes per night. I think that we'll see 30 minutes a night from Jalen Wells, so we will see that genuine progression in his game and him going up in cash, which is why I'm okay with playing a $6 million player that isn't a rookie and played a full season last year. I think just taking Bane out, and I think he will do enough to start the year to raise some cash and, get us to somebody a bit more stable a bit later on.
Yeah. Like I said, look, if I was to make a change to my team, I tell you what, it'd be Wells. I just can't. The reason I don't have him is because I'd have to take Asar Thompson out, and I just don't want to do that. I just want to back my guy. And there's nothing worse than having a guy in your team all of the preseason, and then you get to the day before it, and you take out a guy that you were confident in because you muck things around, and then they go off. I would rather be wrong on Asar Thompson and trade him out, and just admit that I was wrong, than be right and not go and go against my better judgment. So, I'll try and hold strong there. But yeah, I do like Wells. I think he's a good pick.
Do you guys think, what happens if Ace Bailey's ruled out early? Do you guys have a contingency plan? Because I don't want to, sound like an unorganized podcaster, but I don't know if I do. I don't know if I have anybody else at $4 million at the small forward that I can go to. It's
all right.
Ace or nothing.
We got Terrence Shannon Jr., Horse tells us. So,
do you know what? There's another one that I found today too.
Is it Ron Holland?
It nearly is. It's Josh Minott at the Boston Celtics.
I actually
can get around that. Yeah, I can get around that. That's fine.
Yeah, you see this cuts. I could be right.
Yeah, I like that one. That's good. That's
better
my
than Terrence
contingency
Shannon
plan.
Jr. Ant.
I'll tell you what. If Terrence Shannon Jr. pops off, you won't hear the end of it.
Oh well, I will, because you're a coward because he's not in your team. So
not Cedric.
Yeah, you can't claim it. You can't claim it.
Yeah, you got to have him in your
backing
team
him.
if you want to claim it. Yep,
All
agreed.
Right. I'll change it back.
Cool. We happy? We've got some questions to answer. We may as well rip into them, hey?
Yeah.
I'm happy.
I think we've probably touched on some of them already. We'll start with deep cuts in the live chat. Would you rather have Derek White or Cade Cunningham? I think the $5 million that you save is the gap between their points will not be as big as the gap between their cash. I think there's, Derek White's a must-have. Cade, I'm super high on Cade this year, but I just don't know whether he's value to start the year.
Mm-hmm.
Anything to add?
I agree. Derek White's my man. Yep.
I'd rather have Cade, but I'd also rather have $5 million than Derek White. So,
yeah, it's hard because you're not comparing them like for like.
Sometimes it's not what you spend; it's what you save.
Oh, he has watched NRL shows. There you go.
Yeah, Dylan Brown.
Deep cuts with another. Who are the top 5 must-haves for each position? Holy dooly, you're asking a lot from us here, my friend.
Oh, dear.
We'll come back to that. Who are the top 5 must-haves in general? This is probably a little bit easier.
Yep.
Giannis, Wemby,
Yep. Derek White, I think, is.
Derek White.
When you're talking cash gen, I think that Jalen Williams is. If you want to go down that line.
I think Cooper Flag before him.
Cooper Flag, definitely. Yep.
And
fifth.
Jalen Williams I'm fine with at 5th.
Yeah. I think it's the most obvious. And they're players that we all have for the most part, so that probably works out quite well. We'll come back to the 5 best in each position. Maybe we'll have to do a little bit of an article on that before the round finishes. Let's rip into these questions. The first one's from Kobe. Hey lads, just a couple of things. What are your plan on getting Jokic? We've already kind of had this conversation. And also, if you guys are considering Zion in week 2, what's your plan on making that happen? Horse, kick us off. What's your Jokic plan?
My Jokic plan will come from probably Chet Holmgren and Jimmy Buckets. Whether that's week 2 or week 3, I'd say week 3 at this stage. But in regards to Zion, I'm in no rush at the moment. I get 2 games this week to see how his body is, how the offense is structured around him. His price is not going to move. Yeah, ask me again next Monday, and I'll let you know a solid plan from there.
My plan for Jokic is week 3, I think. I have some targets for next week from Golden State and from the Pelicans that I would rather bring in ahead of Jokic just next week. I think as soon as Denver go on that 4-game week in week 3, I will move heaven and earth to get Jokic. And ideally, I will free up enough cash next week to be able to just make that move in one trade so that then I've got the flexibility with the other 2 trades in that week and potentially a boost to be able to then make my other moves to attack the schedule. So that's probably where my head's at. It'll be, like Horse said, Chet down to Bazelis. I'll have enough money in the bank then to do Wemby, straight up to Jokic with a little bit of cash to spare as well. I also have a plan, depending on how Asar Thompson goes and whether I'm right or wrong. I hope I'm right, but if I'm wrong, I'll go Asar Thompson with the cash that I've got left over up to someone like Trey Murphy, who I think is a good shout next week for the Pels. So that's probably where my head's at with the Jokic plan. Zion, as much as I want him, he can turn a 3-game week into a 2-game week pretty quickly, or a 4-game week into a 3 or a 2-game week, depending on if they've got back-to-backs. I'm just a little bit wary of that. I'm wary the injury risk doesn't really bother me. It's sitting the back-to-back and losing the points value from him. That's what I'm concerned about, Matty. Where's your head at with Jokic and Zion?
I don't know. Am I out there in thinking that Giannis can score as well as Jokic? And I think that I could probably get a bit of cash gen out of Victor to start. Like, I think it's actually quite a long way for me to get Jokic early on in the year. And yeah, while I've got plans in my head that if he becomes this must-have that doesn't lose a lot of cash, I'm fine to try and get him over week 2 and week 3. I think that will become evident in the first week. But I actually think that maybe he's a $25, $26 million player that's priced at 28. And I can let him go for just a little bit. But yeah, when it comes to Zion, he is a guy that I am keen on getting, probably a bit higher than Trey Murphy. I know that he might rest back-to-backs, but I also back the fact that he's a little bit younger. A couple mil more. I have to wait for Steph or Donovan Mitchell or Jimmy Butler to shit the bed for me to move to somebody like Zion, because I also think that all those $14, $15 million guys can just score as well as Zion as well. I know that there's opportunity when it comes to Pelicans, but maybe it comes, downgrading to a Herb Jones rather than a Trey Murphy or a Zion earlier on in the year while I'm just trying to build that bank. Just remember, it's going to be a, 20-week season? It's going to be a long season.
Yep. I think you're underestimating how good Jokic is in this format, personally. He is 8 points better than the next best player last year. And I guess you're banking on him not being as good this year or not being as influential. I genuinely think he'll do much of the same in Denver. this year than he did last year. But yeah, look, will he gain cash? Fuck no, of course not. I don't see him outscoring what he did last year, but I genuinely don't see him dropping that much money. So, and those are points that you can just lock in as a captain. He doesn't sit on back-to-backs. He doesn't sit unless he's injured. I want Jokic and Giannis nearly all year. And then when Wemby's schedule opens up, I'll just move heaven and earth to get him back in. But I guess you're getting the best player in the game. You just got to do it early, in my opinion. All right, let's move on.
One more.
Matty, go.
There's one more Supercoach sport to be added, right? Maybe I'll get Jokic in horse racing.
Hey, he'll bring some passion to that sport because he doesn't look too thrilled on the basketball court.
Hates it, doesn't he?
Yeah, hates it. I love how he hugs the jockey crying after his fucking random ass horse just wins a race, but he wins an NBA championship and an MVP, and he's like, "Cool, yeah, it's good. We can go home now." So anyway, Simon, horse, you can answer this one. Wemby or AD for rounds 1 or 2?
I both think they're going to score really well. Wemby. I've got Wemby tossed up between the two, but point Wemby is just too hard to ignore.
Yeah, me too. I don't see the large appeal in AD as other people do. I think it's Wemby, Giannis, Jokic as a clear top 3, and then there's a gap, in my opinion.
Yes.
Then it's SGA, Luka.
Yes. Yep.
AD sits in that kind of bucket for me. Steve, with the next one, how safe are Diorman and D'Lo? Their minutes, it's Diorman. Their minutes were up and down during the preseason game, and they rarely started. I currently have D'Lo starting at point guard, and I would reconsider too, Steve.
Same here, mate. Yeah, go down, save yourself some cash.
Obviously, the word from Jason Kidd leaning into Cooper Flagg as the point guard until Kyrie comes back means that D'Lo's probably just going to play 20 minutes off the bench, and sure, that might be fine, but he's not a guy you're going to want to play on court. So yeah, for me, it's Jorman. I'm fine with because they just waived Kobe Buffkin in Brooklyn. They did. I don't see Ben Traore and Saraf. Yeah, so I don't see either of those guys playing any meaningful minutes in Brooklyn this year. They'll just be used as a kind of backup 2 and 3 point guard, shooting guard at different times, but their minutes will be split. So Jorman is the guy for me. I'm
100%.
more than happy to run with him and even start him potentially. D'Lo, no deal. Matty, welcome back. Very quick one on D'Lo or safety of Diorman and D'Lo.
Oh, I'm actually kind of okay with starting Diorman. I've been toying with it a little bit. I'm just not sure I could look myself in the mirror if I was starting a $4 million player when it comes to Supercoach, but it could genuinely be the ultimate upside risk with what you're going to get by upgrading. Am I a bit handcuffed by playing somebody like Donovan Mitchell when I could have Luka? Like, going D'Lo to Jorman gets you Donovan Mitchell to Luka, which could be a huge upside play. It depends just how risk averse you are, to be honest. Which I kind of am, but I kind of have to protect my rank as a podcaster as well. If I go finish 28,000th and there's 32,000 people playing NBA Supercoach, I don't really have a job at the end of the day.
We talked about risk averse. Santan looks pretty. Doesn't mind a risk or two. We talked D'Lo safety, Lonzo safety. Safety, yes. Consistency, yes. 15 to 17 minutes a night, yes. But is that enough? As a guy I'd want to start on court, no. That worries me. Personally, I wanted him starting at point guard and playing 20 minutes. If I could have got a guaranteed start in 20 minutes for Lonzo, he'd be my starting point guard or shooting guard on court. But maybe thinking Gabe Vincent over one of them. Honestly, I have not said his name all preseason, Gabe Vincent.
Not once.
I don't know whether that tells you my answer. No.
Nope.
No.
I still think D'Lo's safe. I just wish he was $7 million, and I'd be completely fine to get him. Even if they experiment starting with Cooper Flag, watch his game. He's not really a point guard, and he's probably 5 years off being, that point LeBron kind of situation that we've seen in the past. I think D'Lo, fine, plays 25 minutes a night. I was just hoping Lonzo at $7 million was going to play 25 minutes a night, but yeah, it's probably not going to happen. So.
Braden's next one is kind of touching on what we just went through. Is there a world where you can death ride Jokic until week 9 and hope cheaper guys with better draws to start can outscore him and potentially make money to make it easier to get him in week 9? Week 9, you will be a long way behind if you don't have Jokic. That is my personal opinion. I think the latest you should be getting Jokic is week 3. I'm happy to, and I probably will fade week 1 and week 2. But when Jokic has a 4-game week and he goes and puts up fucking 180 points in a week as your captain, and no one will come close to that, that gives you so much more of an advantage. So I know Mattrix might go against us on this one, so I'm interested to hear it.
I just think Giannis could. I think Giannis, with the better fit with Miles Turner and the worse options around him, getting rid of some of these other guys at guards that they've had, I think Giannis is going to have to be an absolute draft horse. So, yeah, I'm expecting that, carry the team the way that Jokic has done in the past from Giannis. Whether I can find a way to go Wemby up to... But Wemby's got such a good schedule too. I just can't see me getting one of these $15 million players all the way up to Jokic. And I think that it's worth rolling the dice on Giannis and Wembanyama, hopefully getting close to the heights of Jokic. I still think Jokic will be the best player. I just think maybe the gap's a lot smaller this year than it was last year with the current pricing.
I think with max trades, it makes it much more viable to just get him. Jokic I'm talking about. If you had to save trades and you had to be tactical about when you get certain players and you can't churn and burn players, primos and all that kind of stuff, then I'd agree with you. But I reckon just due to the fact we've got max trades, I think he becomes an easier get off the back of that.
But we say max trades. There's 30 teams in the league. I think we're going to use those trades very easily. I don't know. Maybe it's just a different philosophy. I just think there's going to be somebody on some random fucking team that we haven't mentioned one time in the preseason that's going to be must-have in the first 4 weeks.
Gary Trent Jr. Watch him. He's ready for a breakout this year, and we're going to miss it.
He's ready to pop off.
Yeah. Horse isn't a fan. Simon, kind of just we touched on this. 3 trades seems luxurious. Do you have a rough management plan for these? Send it. Is my management plan for trades. For example, 1 trade to rotate guns each round for the points and the other 2 for cash gen. Cash gen's still going to be important, of course. You've got to get your cheapies right to start the year, though. And managing, I guess, points versus cash gen is always a debate that we have. What's the priority? Start of the year, it's always usually cash. In my opinion, I feel like it's much easier to find, and Matty, your team kind of says this, it's much easier to find these guys that will do both. Guys that you can get at 10, 11, 12 mil that will honestly make you 5, 6 mil and get you up to a primo, but also put up primo type points. I think Trey Murphy could be a guy like that. We all think Derek White could be a guy like that. Donovan Mitchell could get to 20 mil. Steph Curry could get to Luka Doncic's price. We're picking these guys because we think they're capable of doing stuff like that. I'm picking Asar Thompson because I think he can go from 10 to 16 mil. So there's... it's kind of rare. When you buy primos in NRL and AFL, you're buying them at top dollar and going, yeah, they're my points guys. Whereas I think that there's guys that are in 10 to 14 mil in this league that can put up a $20 million price tag for points at the same time. So I'm going to prioritize rotating guns more and just trust the fact that I've picked the right cheapies. I'll probably adjust if I get a cheapie completely wrong based on roll more than anything. I'll make that change, but I want to be putting points on the board, so that's probably where my priority lies. Horse, where's your head at with all of that?
Oh no, I'll have 0 trades left by the end of the year.
You got to
I'll
use them. There's no point
Yeah,
just sitting
yeah.
on
There's
them.
no point in holding them over. So, yeah, no idea how I'll use them, but the plan is to get Jokic in by round 3 at the latest, and whether it's cash gen, whether there's a player or players that shit the bed early on, and I need to rotate players through for cash gen or what have you. But yeah, we'll be on here each week doing members only Q&A, so you'll know exactly what sort of moves we're doing anyway.
Yeah. Matty, anything to add?
I mean, yes and no. I think I'm not a big horse racing fan, but I know I've referenced it a lot in this podcast. The horse that leads the first corner never wins the race. So, yeah, I think that I will be outside of captaincy, and, maybe that is Jokic. I know Horse looks confused, but Horse, as a horse,
I'm very
the horse
confused.
that leads the first corner never wins the race in a normal.
I've never led and never won.
My wife bet on a horse that was 101 to 1, and it took off and it was leading the race. I'm like, you're cooked. It's gassed itself. It's gone out too hard. There's no way it's going to win. And it led the whole fucking race at 101 to 1. So you're a liar, Mattrix. A horse that takes out, I have watched it. And I've watched my wife win money and rub it in my face.
Sorry, I wasn't watching Wednesday nights at Newcastle. But,
No, it was Wenny Dogs, mate, on a Thursday, all right? Go easy.
in Singapore. But I do think I will probably focus on cash gen a little bit to start the year and try and come home with a wet sail. A little bit like happened in NRL this year. Maybe not too many people will be watching by the end. By the time I start to pass a few people, but the end goal is to win. And I think that the best thing to do with that is to focus on cash gen early, as long as you have an elite captain every week. That's a preface. So.
I honestly don't remember the last time we've heard the winner of Supercoach came back from 22,000th to win Supercoach. They never did. They're always in the top 100 fucking real early on. So I'm going against you on that. I'm going to go hard with points and hopefully hold out at the front. And hopefully I'm the 101 favourite and I get one back.
You won't run out of trades this year.
No, you can't. And that's the best part about content this year for NBA Supercoach is that people are going to continue to watch until the end. Not like in NRL when everyone runs out of trades come round 19 and we're sitting here talking to ourselves because we've also ran out of trades. So let's move on. James, Jorman or Harper? I think, do we all agree it's Jorman over Harper? No, not in any of our teams, Harper.
Dead man.
I kind of like Harper. I do. If there is, if we get news that Fox is out for a little bit longer, but yeah, if you're having a slog and you're not playing either player, I don't have Jorman or Harper, but yeah, it just feels like a long way to get to Harper as well.
Yeah, a little bit of extra cash for sure. All right, my favourite. So there was Bane Wennett and a few other people. Craig Bellamy found his way into the NRL last year as a Patreon account.
Great.
This is my favourite. Zion Williamson's marriage counsellor. So I hope he sticks around all year and asks us questions.
Yeah,
I enjoyed
nice.
that. Well played, sir.
It's
Trying to
better
wrap
than
my head
Dylan
around
Brooks's.
It is way better than Dylan Brooks's. Trying to wrap my head around the break-evens and price changes used to NRL with the 3-round rolling average. Is it the same in the NBA? Yes, except it is not a 3-round rolling average. It's a 3-game rolling average. So basically, any player in the first week that plays 3 games, they'll have a price change after week 1. Any players like your Shepherds, Edgecombs, all of those guys that are on 2-game weeks, they are going to have to wait until they play their 3rd game to get that price change. And also one thing to think about is that these 2-game week guys, cheapies, their first 2 scores are irrelevant because next week they're going to play 3 games. Those first 2 scores are going to roll out of their 3-game rolling average. So everything that those guys do is null and void and completely irrelevant in week 1. It's literally just to set your team up. If you think they're going to make more cash for you next week, that's great. That's why you pick them, but ignore week 1 completely for anyone playing a 2-game week.
Yeah, and that in that way, it's not like NRL. It's more like NBL I don't know too much about BBL, but some of those. But yeah, look, it's your previous 3 games when it comes to your price changes is what it's off. So yeah, like maybe like that's why we don't have heaps of Houston players or Jazz players
right.
in our first weeks. Hey guys.
Pretty much. Making me, that question's making me think about whether I've got too many 2-game week guys on my bench. Anyway, we'll revisit that tomorrow before game time. I'm sure I'll panic. I've got meetings in the morning.
When
as well,
you say
so I'm just gonna have
unlimited
to
trades,
postpone
it's
those.
not unlimited. You still only have fucking 3, so chill.
Yeah, until my players lock. I've got unlimited trades until my player locks out, and I will use those unlimited trades. Horse, this one's for you, mate. Corey, is it okay to start on bench Bailey and Bazelis, or is it okay to get a 3-gamer for the bench? I wouldn't have a 3-gamer on the bench unless it's a genuine cheapie. How do you answer this?
Yeah, I'd probably Bailey and Bazelis. They're both the same position, aren't they? Or no, power
Ken
forward or
Slottom's
shooting guard.
small
Yeah,
forward, power forward, yeah.
yeah. I think you can utilize that money elsewhere to start with. If you go Bazelis down to Terrence Shannon Jr.
Ron Holland.
But like Ron Holland, if you go down to say Josh Minnow, then you're saving $2.7 million. If you go Bailey down to him, you're saving 800,000. So that I am a big believer that you need to utilize your cash properly right from the start, because then it will help you. One, it'll help you generate cash from these bottom dollar rookies who need less of a score to make money, or could make us more money. But 2, it opens up, like you plan ahead, and it opens up how you want to attack the year. So, for example, I'll get up my team on my screen here. If I wanted to go to Bazelis from a Demon, it's only going to cost me 2 mil. And I can move Reed Shepherd into shooting guard and then move some things around and then happy days. So, yeah, it's I've already made that move, PS lads. Yes.
Welcome.
Yeah. FOMO. Kevin Porter Jr. in, Nemard out, Reed Shepherd in, Smalls out.
But you're the biggest Nembard fan in the world, man.
I am for 9-cat
Okay.
MVP.
Cool. Bailey, yes on the bench. Bazelis, yes on. I'm fine with them on the bench. That's not an issue. But I do think my preference is to just get Bazelis in week 2 as a downgrade.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's ideal for me.
And we get 2 games to have a look at him
unless you
without
really
his price
like
changing.
Unless you really like your team and you're okay to play Bazelis off the week, because there will be other fires to put out. Like every Supercoach sport has fires. Like, say for whatever reason they start Xavier Tillman instead of Keta. Say for whatever reason Jay Huff ends up playing 32 minutes a night and Isaiah Jackson isn't. Say Donovan Mitchell breaks a leg. Like, I don't know. There does just always seem to be fires every week. And if you have the money sitting there and you can save a trade the following week, I think you will be better off. But it's only if you're okay with the rest of the team. It's about what you do with the $3 million cash from, Jalen Williams to Martas Bazelis at power forward. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, fair. We've got 4 more questions. AEZ, when it comes to guys like Jimmy Butler and, say, even Donovan Mitchell types, how worried are you about their potential to miss games and be managed? Mattrix.
I'm not worried in week 1. I'm not worried in week 2. I'm not worried in week 3. It comes down to like week 8, week 9, week 10. They get a niggling ankle injury in week 6, and then I start to be worried. I'm not going to draft, nor am I going to Supercoach draft on injury if these guys are healthy to start the year. And that's probably something I tried to get across with Zion, but I didn't really say. I think later on, once you start to see Zion banged up, and if they look like they're playing in the play-in and, they're going to be a roundabouts, we might start to see, some management. But for now, I'm not worried week 1. Absolutely. And if we start to see restings and things for those guys, we just move on from them. Like, tell me that somebody like Kawhi Leonard, and there's 30 teams in the NBA, so we can't cover everyone. Tell me that Kawhi Leonard isn't a guy that we might own throughout the year when it comes to Supercoach. And we haven't mentioned him once when it comes to Supercoach preseason. I think, you start to see a guy healthy. He makes it through his first couple of back-to-backs, and then you start to see Clippers have a good schedule, and you start to add him. But you don't worry about that week one.
Nah, I still don't think... On the Kawhi thing, I think he gets rested a little bit more than you think, or that you're saying. I don't think he'll play back-to-backs, personally. I might be wrong, and I'm happy to be wrong on that, but I genuinely don't. I think that they're playing the long game with Kawhi Leonard. I think that they're going to want him there in the postseason when they need him the most. So I reckon they'll be cautious with him. I also think that the Pelicans will be cautious with Zion on back-to-backs as well. Genuinely, like early in the season, that's probably the only reason why I'm not interested.
Especially when the Clippers are paying all that money out of different accounts to him.
Maybe he goes and plays
he runs
in a
an
different
excellent
tournament.
lawn mowing business.
Yeah, that's right.
He runs an excellent lawn mowing business. Thank you.
As a great man once said, a happy Jimmy is a good Jimmy. So I don't think there's any of their issues. And as Kizza says, the house is always burning. It just depends which room you want to say first.
Good shot. Yeah, good shout. I like that. AEZ's got another one. It was a two-part question. Giannis and Luka seem to be the two meta premiums. Maybe you guys would disagree with that. I'd probably say Giannis and Wemby, based on how our teams look, seem to be the two meta premiums. Read the third. How much value do you put in Shea's potential captaincy and elite early fixtures against a Wemby who is a season-long keeper? Horse, you're the one with Shea. Obviously, you've gone and had a look at the schedule based on that. I'm assuming you probably agree with this.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I'm not captaining him in week one because Giannis is just too good to pass up. But SGA's usage just does go up through the roof. 39% usage on average when J-Dub doesn't play. And J-Dub could miss the first couple of weeks. So, yeah, 7 games in that period with a lot of usage to SGA. I'm expecting some big scores out of him.
Yeah, fair call. Pete, we're probably underestimating what SGA can do. Incredibly efficient player for a guard as well. It's not like he goes and takes and misses a fuckload of shots. So good free throw shooter. A good shout. I'm just going to back Luka at 3 million less and hope that he can. I can use that 3 million elsewhere to benefit me. Next one, Simon. You say that NBA Supercoach has screwed up Jalen Williams' price. Do you know... coming back to this. Do you know how many comments and questions we've got saying, are you guys sure you're not talking about Jalen Williams, the shooting guard, for 15 million? No, we're sure. We are sure that we are talking about the right Jalen Williams. How many weeks will it take, Simon wants to know, for his price to rise to where it should have been based on him hitting his average? I went and had a look... earlier. Yeah, Mattrix. I'm surprised Mattrix doesn't have his pen and paper out. He's not usually an electronic calculator guy. He likes to carry the two and all that. So
I got my abacus. Just hang on a second.
No, he's a big notebook guy. Usually the notebook has 3 words in it.
He's got his
bring a
notebook
notebook out
down
all the time. Thank you.
He does.
Yes.
He does.
No, it's not. It's got Pokemon on it.
Nice. I think when I had a look at his projected price, what Supercoach are saying his projected price is, he'll make about 300k a week. Based on projections, he'll make about 300k a week, which is going to take 10 weeks probably for him to make that money. 10 to 12, 15 weeks.
I think he makes it quicker, but on average.
We're getting in bottom dollar guys that we actually don't even know that are going to make money, where their situations haven't changed. Like, Jalen Williams just seems like the safest option at $3.5 million, which is why I'm there. Is it a sexy pick? Fuck no. But, yeah, look, it's going to take a fair few weeks for him to go back up. But when another $3.5 million guy arises due to injury in round 5, then yeah, we're going to make a couple mil. It's great.
Yep, 100%. It's guaranteed money, knowing that all he has to do is do what he did last year. And also, Isaiah Hartenstein's not a picture of health. Chet Holmgren is not a picture of health. There is every chance that this guy can make his way into the starting lineup at different periods when these guys inevitably end up going down or getting rested. So that'll boost that cash gen up as well.
100%.
The final question here.
They still paid him $9 million a season. Like, they still paid him decent money.
Yeah, he's obviously valuable to them, for sure. Anthony with the last one. Who would you start on field out of Timu, Jalen Williams, or Bezelis this week? Oof, it's rough. Rest of the team, though, is pretty nice. SGA, Luka, Booker, Mitchell, Giannis, Ricochet, Wells, Flag, and White. So not a nice team there aside from that, but he's relying on Jalen Williams or Bezelis to play this week to start. The answer is Bezelis by the length of the Flemington Straight.
Horse racing again. It's a country mile.
This one might be the horse that bolts out the gate first and wins the race, Matrix.
It could be.
Yeah.
It could be.
Yeah, Bezelis, I wouldn't... Bezelis could outscore Wells in 2 games. I'm not even joking.
Yeah.
Bezelis has looked so good in the preseason. Punching the bottom of my desk just thinking about it.
It can't be real.
And yeah, I'll get him in week 2 because obviously his scoring in week 1 means nothing unless you're playing him on field. So that'll Jesus, 1 hour 20. We've ripped into that.
A long time.
Yeah, it was a good one. Obviously, guys, our teams may change. Horse has already. We talk about the horse bolting. The horse has already bolted over here on the right hand side of the screen. He's already changed his team after we revealed it 20 minutes ago. So
if you ain't first, you're last, baby.
And fucking Ricky Bobby over here. He's already changed his team. So he'll put the changes in Patreon. Everybody will be aware of what our teams actually end up looking like. And of course, you're only going to have 4 teams lock out tomorrow as well, by the way. There's only 2 games on tomorrow. So you're going to have that extra 24 hours to make the decisions around the rest of these guys. Only like your OKCs and players like that are going to lock out from playing tomorrow. So there is every chance we might be making some changes ourselves. We'll update you if we do. But hopefully this has helped you guys with your questions. Obviously, there's no limit to how many questions you can ask either. That's what you're paying for. So rip in here if you want. Put them in the questions here. Chuck them on the Patreon post. We'll cover that. We'll also be putting a Patreon Q&A post up every week for you guys to ask your questions ahead of the week, and we'll answer them in there. But that will wrap us up. That'll do us. Thanks for
anyone that's watching the NBA tomorrow. Jump in the chat. We'll chew the fat. I'll be at home watching both games. So if you want to talk through it, we'll be in the WhatsApp.
Yep, there'll be a game day thread thing there that you can rip in. How good. We're going to have some basketball back in about 12 hours, 13 hours. So it's what we've been waiting for. Hopefully your teams are ready to go, guys. Obviously, we'll be in the WhatsApp if you have any questions as well. But thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching. Drop your questions if you need them. And thanks for the preseason. It's been fun. Now we get to watch some real basketball. We'll catch you then.